This meeting is being live streamed. Got it. Preparing to live stream this meeting. I wonder if I can pull up YouTube.
Hey guys.
Up. It looks like we're live streaming. I don't know why there's just a picture though. Maybe they could just hear our video voice. Let's see. Live on YouTube. Maybe if I hit play. There we go. Oh, shit. We're live streaming.
Wow, this is the first.
Says we got one watching. That's probably me. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Brandon Bonanza show. This is an impromptu live stream with my really great friend Kayleigh, who's all the way across the, I guess we'll say, realm in Melbourne, Australia. How's it going in Melbourne?
It's actually getting nice and sunny now. Spring's here, and yeah, it's cool. I've been pretty much gone sort of back to normal.
That's so crazy how you're the total opposite, because we're heading into fall and it hasn't rained here in Connecticut for probably, I mean, like it's sprinkled a little bit, but it hasn't rained in probably a good 2 months, and it's been raining for like the past day and a half. I'd say it started last night and it's still going now, so I guess full day. It's like on and off, but it's a pretty steady rain. So I'm pretty excited about that, but it's nuts how you guys are heading into spring. I always get that like must be nice energy every time you're like, oh, it's spring and it's summer, and I look outside. I mean, I love the winter, don't get me wrong, and the fall is great too, but there's something about the spring, it's just, it's magical.
I agree. In the winter and things, I like it for the fact I can just sit and read books guilt-free in my bed or on the sofa. I put like a fireplace app on the TV, candles, stuff like that. Stay in my pajamas, and I don't have to feel guilty about it. That's why I like the winter.
Yeah, that is pretty amazing. I do like to go hiking though in the winter myself. I'm just going to drop a link into a couple channels, see if we can get some people in here. But yeah, I don't know. There's something about the winter that's fun too. But I don't know. I just get this like every time it's winter here, and I'm just like, oh, she's like at the beach, or it's just beautiful there. So
yeah, it's funny. It's the same thing when it's your summer and my winter. You're sending me photos of a beach or a nice hike or something. I'm like, oh. My uncle in Canada, he's sending me photos of a beach near him. He said it's still pretty warm up there, so I don't know what it's like in comparison to where you are.
Yeah, it's still been pretty warm and humid. I mean, it's I think it dropped down to the 70. Oh, you wouldn't know. You got that crazy metric system. But for our other viewers, it was like 80 in the 80s. So I guess we can always convert and see what that's all about. But I can't convert and also send links and then
let me have a look. I'll try. You do your thing and I'll do it,
and then I'll get the quote. This is what I'll do, because today we're going to be talking about fear and all about it. So today's quote for this show is, I must not fear. Fear is the mind killer. Fear is the little death that brings total obliteration. I will face my fear. I will permit it to pass over me and through me. And when it is gone past, I will turn the inner eye to see its path. Oh, man. This thing's trying to get me to sign up. Thanks, Google. Goodreads. I should have took a screenshot. So unprepared for the live show. We just decided to do this last minute to check it out. Let's see. And when it has gone past, I will turn the inner eye to see its path. Where the fear has gone, there will be nothing. Only I will remain. And that's from the movie Dune, book Dune, I guess you could say, written by Frank Herbert, which they later turned into a movie. So very apropos quote today, I must say. Just gonna check to see. Oh, we got some people in here. Yeah. All right. We got Sharon and Chris are in here. Hey guys.
Hi, Sharon.
Sharon's going to be excited. So I'm going to let everybody know on I'm just saying a date, guys. September 11th, 2022. We're just saying a date. We're going to be live streaming. That's this Sunday. Sharon and I, and we have a guest, but I'm not going to announce it yet. Soon to come. So check that out, guys. But for today, we're going to be talking about fear, and I'm so excited because Kayleigh and I guess we should give a brief description about how we met. And right at the beginning of 2020, I don't know if you guys remember 2020, there was something that happened. I don't know, it's kind of seems like a faint distant memory, but whenever that thing happened, that was 3/11/2020, actually 222 months exactly from 9/11/2001. We're just saying numbers, YouTube, right? We're just saying numbers. So something happened and I was a fan. Well, I still am a fan of Mark Passio, and I was following his work pretty closely. And his producer put out on the Discord that he was going to open up the channel, a voice channel for everybody to talk, to kind of, be a little bit of community for each other, I guess, in those crazy times that we had. So that's what we were doing. And I went in there and I met my good now friend Kayleigh. And we recorded a few episodes. You can go back on the channel and check it out. We talked about our military service. We talked about the Denver airport. We talked about toxic chemicals that are in your everyday cleaning supplies and like your cosmetic supplies, allegedly. So look at that. Let's go, Brandon's. Yes, we have Brandon in the chat. It's another Brandon. Yeah, what's up, guys? Looks like we have like a few people, 8 people watching. Look at that. We're famous. 8 people. That's amazing.
Really appreciate is a mix of appreciate y'all. Okay, I really appreciate y'all for tuning in live.
Yeah, thanks, guys. A big shout out to Sharon. Oh, go ahead.
Oh no, sorry. I'm just saying I did the conversion, by the way. So 80 degrees Fahrenheit is 27 Celsius. Anyway, please continue.
Yeah, so it's still pretty warm outside.
Very warm. Yeah.
And what happens here in Connecticut is it swings back and forth. So it'll probably drop down to the 60s, which happened in August a little bit. It got down in like the high 50s, low 60s a couple nights. And then it just swings back the other way and I get warm again, then cool, then warm, then before it's just freezing, which usually happens by about November. But I mean, who knows? Sometimes we have November days that are not quite that high, but probably like 21 degrees Fahrenheit. I'll just take a random guess. So it was warm enough for me to paddleboard one year, which is really cool.
Yeah, it's called climate change. Didn't you know that, Brandon?
Yeah, the climate changes. Isn't that crazy? Climates change. But a big shout out to Sharon, because her and I, we've been doing the Over Sharon show for now a year consistently, and we built up a nice little audience of people. And we call them our slaves. That's what I call them. They're our Over Sharonite friends, and yeah, they're really awesome. So I'm sure they're going to enjoy this talk about fear. It's right up their alley, for sure.
Yeah, I was watching actually your video the other day, the live that you did, and you were talking about how you came up with the name. It's over Sharon. That one?
Yeah, the one that we did with the Melodome with the 2 other guys.
Yeah, that's it, the Melodome. Yeah, I'm still actually 80% of the way through, because every time I sit down and watch it, I listen to it while I'm in the bath, guys, as well. Just letting you know that I listen to you guys in the bath. Like something happens or my phone goes off or I get called to work or whatever, like, and then so that's the second time I've tried to finish off the podcast.
Did you hear my shout out to you?
I haven't even got to that point yet.
That's all right.
Yeah, I will. Yeah,
you'll get there eventually. I get it. Yeah, so we've been building up this show and I'm pretty excited about it. But so today though, we're going to talk about fear, because I mean, honestly, when I look back, fear is like the motivating force behind all this stuff. It's what kind of got me into doing this. My response to, I mean, way back in 2013 when they were trying to, and they ended up eventually passing all these crazy gun laws in Connecticut, my response was to start morelawsmoreproblems.com, which I still have, and write a blog about it, because I either faced people who agreed with what I was saying so I could talk to them, but it was like an echo chamber, or I talked to people I just, they were like, no, guns are evil or whatever. So I was like, I'm just going to write about it. And I found out that when I started writing about it, that it was a really good expression and it was a way for me to get the stuff off my chest and not go so crazy. So eventually it morphed into me doing podcasts and stuff. And now I have the Lovely Over Sharon show and we talk about all this kind of stuff. But fear was like especially in 2020, fear was the motivator for me to start doing a lot of these live streams. I mean, actually, I was doing live streams right before it happened, which is hilarious. And I was talking about the thing before it hit the United States. And right in the middle of a 3-part episode of live stream that I was doing, like I think right after episode 2 is when it happened. And I'm like, I guess I predicted it because I talked about it because episode 2 was named episode 2 Corona Boogaloo or something like that. Corona Boogaloo. And so it was very in line with what was going on. But that's, like I said, that's when Kayleigh and I met and we started recording. And I think I was a lot more caught in fear than I am now. I didn't realize what a trap it was.
Yeah,
And I was,
same.
I was like every day I was watching I like quit watching the news years ago, but I would watch the press conferences from the White House just to see what they were doing and try to catch like some code or symbolism. And I caught some things. I ended up catching when we refer to him as President Trump, when he first he did like 2 weeks, I guess he was gonna the 2 weeks to lock down to stop the spread or whatever. And in that 2 weeks, he came out and announced that he was going to extend it all the way to May 1st. Now that threw up a flag because May 1st is Walpurgis not, which is like May Day, which is like a huge holiday. And it's not really it's not, what's the word I'm looking for, celebrated anymore because of Christianity really kind of whitewashed over all that stuff. But it was one of the largest holidays ever because it denoted the time when the sun was in our area, the northern hemisphere or whatever that means, right? And it means spring. So just like we were talking about, it meant you guys were heading into fall, into winter in your part of the realm, and we were heading into summer. So now it seems that it's really only celebrated by like pagans and pagan adjacent people and stuff like that. Or could it be Satanists, like all those guys? So he makes this announcement. He's going to extend it to May 1st. And then I counted back the days and it was 33 days until May 1st when he made that announcement. So I was like, what? Like, and it's in that, it's funny. We're talking about Mark Passio. He talks about the satanic season of sacrifice. It was right smack dab in the middle of that because it was late March. I believe it was March 28th because there's 31 days of March. I think that's how it worked out. I can't remember, but I remember I was the only one to notice that. Nobody else was talking about it on their streams or anything. So I was just like, yikes. Because I used to follow some of the Gematria guys too. That's how I found out about the 222 months between 3/11/22 and 9/11/01, which was pretty crazy to me. And I would tell people that. I even wrote that in my book. I'm like, isn't this a strange fact? I'm like, did you know that 3/11/2020 is exactly 222 months? Like, isn't that nuts, guys? But most people are just like, yeah, whatever, and they go back to watching TV. But anyway, so I was super into the fear thing. I was like checking all this stuff and worried about like the lockdowns and like they were going to come house to house and they were going to force vaccinate people and all this stuff.
Yeah.
And I mean, you were in Australia, so how was it there going down there? I mean, we can even talk about the protests that you went to and all that stuff.
Well, it was probably the worst in Melbourne than anywhere else in Australia. Well, sorry, I'd say Victoria really as the state, but yeah, we had it the worst, and I think other states were looking on, being like, "Oh, glad we're not living in Victoria. We're safe in Sydney." And each state had a turn of like going through the SHIT, and and yeah, but we had it. I don't know. I think we had the longest lockdown in the whole world. So we hold that record. But I was thinking the same things. There were all those rumors going around again about them coming round with jab sticks, and darts, and right, you're vaccinated. No joke, it wasn't.
Yes. We like to say experimental medical serum here on the Brandon Bonanza show. We don't like the V word. You could say shit, fuck, ass. Like you could say all that stuff. For some reason, you just can't say the V word, right, YouTube? Anyway, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, that's so true, isn't it? Did that? Okay, yeah.
No, you're
So,
all right. I'm just saying, yeah.
are you actually joking or are you being serious?
Well, I don't like to say it, but I don't think they're really going to do anything if you say it one time. Like, plus you have an Australian accent, so they probably didn't even pick it up,
It's actually a weird hybrid mix of English
Yeah,
and
that's right.
a twang of Aussie. Anyway, so we thought the same thing, that they were going to come around with the military door to door, and that was one thing. I remember also another thing that was always scary for us. They were sending rumors around saying, well, if you don't get mandated, I'm going to say that word.
There you go.
If you don't get mandated, then you will get taken away and put into a little camp, and it's not going to be a very friendly holiday park, let's put it that way. So we were all worried about that, and I thought that was real for ages. And then there was all these videos going around on Telegram of people, hey, I'm a construction worker, and these holiday camps, they're real, and they've even got like gas pipes in them. Look, guys. And everyone was thinking, wow, it's real, they're really doing this. And we're so scared. Like, what's your plan to just leave if you need to? We were all talking about with our friends. What's your escape plan? And I'm starting to think that now those videos were just fear porn to scare you, and no one was really a construction worker called Bertie who was building a lovely little holiday camp for the people who didn't get mandated. So
it's funny because now, especially after having that live stream on the Melodome, they were talking about Richie from Boston, and they were saying how like he had track marks on his hand or his arm, you could see. So they're like, he's probably just a junkie trying to get money out of people. And now that I think about it, a lot of these people, they probably just saw the angle and they realized that they could blow up on YouTube if they were spreading all this fear porn. So they're just trying to get money, and they're probably just junkies. Like, it's freaking crazy how the world works. Everybody thinks there's like a they and a them, which there could be, but it works more on like a smaller level, where you get these people who are just scam artists and they just take advantage of everybody's fear. There you go. We're going back to that subject. So I bet that's what a lot of that was. This guy's just probably like in his crack house and he's like, look, we're building fucking there, send me money. Like,
yeah. And I've got no proof to like prove. There's something wrong with my brain today. I think it's still alive. I've got no evidence to prove that they are where they say they are in that video. They could be at home in their little den, and it could all just be a big giant backdrop. But you just don't know.
Yeah, totally. And I remember I kind of shed the fear a little early once I started listening to people like Owen Benjamin, because he was just kind of making fun of it. And then other people too, because they were talking about how a lot of this stuff is really just choice. Like you kind of have to choose this, it's not just a something they could force on you. And but I think especially because I'm in the United States and we're pretty well armed here, and I think it's different though in Australia. So you must have been a little more scared, especially at first, because in Australia, and you're a Brit, so you're living abroad. So your rights at that point, I mean, even though it's still a Commonwealth country and everything, you still probably had to be a little scared, I would imagine.
Oh yeah, I was ready to, I don't know if you remember when we were chatting, I was ready to pack up and leave. The only thing that stopped me is I couldn't fly Elsie back to England. They weren't flying pets. I was like, I'm not going anywhere. I'm not leaving my cat. No. This is I'm not leaving Alfie. There's no way.
Yeah, I think that's awesome.
Yeah, you know what? I'm glad I didn't, because this is another thing. At the time, everyone was also saying, and I can see why they would believe this as well, because it was logical. You will never be able to travel again unless you've been mandated, and you'll never be able to board an airline. They won't allow it. There's so many things you're not going to be able to do because you're not mandated. And I sat there and I thought, not only has my life gone to SHIT, and we're in like a heavy lockdown, but even if this blows over, I'm not going to be able to go and see my family when I want because I'm over here and they're there, and none of us are mandated. We're not going to do that. So that freaked me out. But now look what's happened. You can travel unmandated to certain places.
Yeah. And think about all those people who ended up taking that experimental medical serum, getting the mandate because they believe those lies. So they were just like, all right, I'll just get it now. And then I could have all my, really at the end of the day, it was just conveniences. I mean, flying to see your family, that's a little different, but a lot of people just kind of buckled for conveniences, or they were kind of worried about their job and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. At the end of the day, they were just rumors, because now we're past that basically for now. I mean, who knows, right? But it seems that we're past all that stuff. It seems that people aren't putting up with it, but I mean, who knows? They could just like start it all over again, and people will be like, okay, I'll put it back, I'll cover my face, whatever. But it seems that a lot of that stuff was just all fear porn, right? Like, I mean,
yeah, and contracts and agreements, even if it's verbal, physical, a contract doesn't always have to be a piece of paper that you both sign. You can verbally contract to something. You can do it just by walking around wearing a mask. You're contracting to that kind of fear porn, I guess you would say. You're by doing that action, you're actually just contracting. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Oh, it makes perfect sense. It's a verbal contract. You blew my mind when you said that. And Nigel in the chat says that your voice, where to go? It says, Kayleigh talks like John Lennon. I love that hybrid accent. So can you sing some War is Over for us? We should. That's like the theme song. War is over.
Yeah.
It really is. Like, it's crazy. But yeah, it all goes back to that fear porn aspect of it. And a lot of people here in the States that I know that are even know about the dangers, right? They know that this stuff hasn't been tested. They know that they shouldn't, but they took the injection because of a job or because of a family situation, or wherever it was. And then I know plenty of people that are nurses, that work on the front lines, that did all the correct legal work so they didn't have to cover their smiling face or take any experimental medical serums. And it's just because they stood up and they took the time and they looked into it and they did it. But other people, they just kind of buckle right away, because I think, again, it comes back to that fear. You know what I mean? They're just like, ugh.
Yeah, they kind of just box themselves in with their own mind, essentially. Oh, that was another example, actually. There was a time when they put a curfew on, so you couldn't go outside your house beyond 8 p.m. and then you'd have to stay in your house till 5 a.m. It's just insane what I'm saying. It's like they're treating you like a child. And obviously it was scary because you would have got a fine and there's police all on the streets, and you sat in your house. I did it too. You sat in your house and you sat there and you're thinking, oh, if I step outside, it's 8:15, and if I step outside, there's going to be 10 policemen and they're going to knock me to the floor and send me a fine and arrest me and all this stuff, and it's all in your head. And then I just went out and I drove around and nothing happened.
I love it. Yeah, it's funny. It's a good thing they didn't instate any curfews here, because I was telling people, I'm like, if they put a curfew on it, I'm going to strap on my AR allegedly, and I'm just going to walk down the street, and whatever happens, happens. Because you know what? I live in America. I'm like, no one's going to tell me I can't go outside. Like, even though I wouldn't normally go outside, I'm like, I'm just going to go for it. Like, I don't even care. Like, what curfew were you talking about? Like, I'll put on a Marine t-shirt or whatever, like, and I'm gonna bring it to them, and I'm gonna be like, your move now, policeman. But now that I look at it, like, I used to hate the police. We should actually talk about a couple things that you were involved in, because it is very interesting. I have a video on this channel. If you go back and look for it, maybe I'll even put the link in the description when we're done, where Kayleigh was at one of these protests very early on, and it was about the face covering thing, about covering your smiling face. And she was protesting that, and I'll let you tell the story. What happened?
The one with the baby? That
Yeah.
one? Oh, I think that was a mixture of anti-lockdown, anti-masks, anti-5G, even though the media played it as it was a full anti-5G protest, and that was all it was about. Yeah, the police like separated the baby from its parents in the pram or stroller, how you guys say it. And then the kids screaming, and then the mum screaming, and then we're all screaming. And it's just, yeah, awful. We made a video about that, didn't we? But looking back on it, I don't know whether the police did that to scare people as well, to stop people going to protest with their kids, or, whatever.
Oh, yeah. Well, because
could be what it is.
You were there with a nice young lady, and it was Mother's Day, I think, or right around Mother's Day. And so she was there with her husband or partner or whatever, and he had the kids in a stroller. There was two of them, right? And they went to the park or whatever. They were like not even at the protest. And they came and they walked over across the street where you guys were protesting in front of, it would look like some kind of government building, and talked to her. And then he left. And as he was leaving, he crossed the street. And then that's when they tackled him. They basically tackled him and pushed the stroller away. And then the police surrounded the stroller, and then you guys ran over there. And I remember you were like, this is bullshit. I heard your voice on the video just yelling at the police, like, fuck you. It was great. I was like, she's
no, that was Lewis. That was my son.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, do you remember? And it ended up on Max. Is it Max Egan? It ended up on his show. And my friend messaged me in England. He went, hey, is that Lewis? Because he was watching the Max Egan show. And he's like, is that Lewis in the background? I can hear him screaming, you dickheads.
Oh, that's hilarious.
No.
You raised a really good, smart son. I like that. How old was he? Like 14?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, he's 16 now. It's crazy, isn't it? But he actually got stuck in England. Have I told you this story?
Oh, yeah. So I know he's in England now. So tell me a little bit about that. This plays
yeah, we sent him back to England, I don't know, about 5 months ago, because he's missed family in that, and he couldn't travel during the lockdown. So we sent him back over, and it said if you're under 17 and unmandated, you can fly in and out of Australia. So we were like, cool, you can go see everybody. This is great news. Sent him over, and while he was away, Australia changed the rules, and they were like, yeah, so we said that, but no. What we mean is, if you're under 17 and not mandated, you have to fly with a fully mandated adult, or you're not allowed in. Yeah, that's the new rule. While he was away, so he's been stuck in England, and we've just been thinking, what are we going to do? I'm like, have I got a friend that I can pay to bring him? Okay, so they changed the rules again. Oh yeah. We said that thing after that thing. Well, now we changed it. Sorry. So it has to be your mandated parents that you fly with. It can't just be your mate or anything like that. And I was like, I can't. But now, luckily, they've dropped the whole thing, and anybody who's not mandated can fly in and out. So we're just looking on getting them back now. But yeah, that was
that's good news.
Disaster. Yeah.
That's crazy how they could just play with those rules. I mean, it's nuts. Oh, and to finish up that story with the protest. So for everyone who's listening, what happened was they locked the guy up, they throw him in the paddy wagon, and then people were recording. And then after the crowd dispersed, they got the reporter on video talking to the police saying, oh yeah, good job. That's the shot we wanted. Like, that's exactly what we wanted.
Yeah.
Like, what?
Yeah.
And then they let the guy go.
Hey, Brandon Lewis is online now. He's watching. He's just sent me a message.
Hi, Lewis. That's awesome. What's up, Lewis? How's it going?
He said, I've just joined, and all I can hear is you saying I'm calling the police dickheads.
We're gonna report you for yelling at the police, Lewis. No, we wouldn't do that. Yeah, so I used to hate the police, but what I realize now is that um it's not really the police, right? The police are only there to kind of keep all these other people in line, because if it wasn't for the police, most people would just rip each other apart, basically, so it's a lot more nuanced than I originally thought. Now I have a little more respect for somebody who wants to do that job to keep all these people from ripping themselves apart. And I found, though, again, going back to fear, I found that really with no fear, even incidences throughout my life when I've gotten pulled over. I remember a specific one that happened, I think it was around 2016, whenever the new Star Wars movie came out, the first one. We were coming back. I was coming back from seeing it with two of my friends, and I was flying down this road that it's like a 2-lane road, but it's not really a highway. You're only supposed to go 40 miles an hour. I don't know what that is in your crazy kilometers. Um,
I know
but
miles because we do that in England.
yeah, okay. So you get it. So I was probably doing about 60, whatever. My friend says to me, he's like, "Oh, you got to slow down because there's a lot of cops on this road." And I'm like, I look at him, I'm like, dude, I'm 40. I'm like, all this shit's registered. And I was probably partaking in a little bit of cannabis. But so 5 minutes later, after he says that, not even 5 minutes, I see lights and we get pulled over, and he looks at me, he's like, kind of like, see? And I'm like, dude, we get pulled over. A cop comes up to the car. He's like, "Oh, what's going on?" And I'm like, "Oh, we're just coming back from seeing that new Star Wars movie." I'm like, "Did you see it?" I'm like, "Oh man, it was so good." And I was talking to him, and he's just like, "All right." He's like, just keep it slow, just keep it slowed down or whatever. He's like, "Just slow it down." He's like, "All right, go ahead, get out of here." And I just left. And I've been in situations before, and some people, the United States, oh, because you're white or whatever. And I'm like, no, because I've been in situations where we were all white and the cops had us all out and they were taking our alcohol and they were smashing stuff. And, so I don't think it's that. I think it's just how you react, really. And
Yeah.
as long as your stuff's legal or whatever, Um, so I never really thought anything about it. I just thought it was a funny story. But thinking back on it, it's because I was showing no fear. I was just there was nothing to be afraid of. You couldn't, because I think when the police, if they pull you over, they could sense the fear because they
Mm.
do it all the time. And
Yeah.
they instinctually think something's up, because if you're afraid, then you're probably doing something wrong, even though most people are afraid even when they're not doing anything wrong, right? Just
Mm.
because of the stigma of the police. So I found that in all situations that way, it's just like, dude, do what you want. But I want you to also tell the story about I remember you were telling me a story that you went to, there was like a market or a store, and in
Oh.
the back room they were having an anti-mask meeting or something, right?
Mm. Oh, do you mean with the bag of carrots joke that I made?
Yeah.
Wait, before I say that, do you remember when you told me that you got pulled over and you said, I've just put my contact lenses in?
Yeah, that's what I said. Yeah, if they're like, "Why are your eyes red?" Be like, "Oh, my contact lenses are just like bothering me or whatever." Like, I don't know. Sorry, man. Sorry, man.
Because I asked you for advice and you went, yep, contact lenses.
There you go.
I think if you make them laugh, it does help, because I was at a food market, and there was also a lockdown happening at the same time. Conveniently, I was at both. And I'm just trying to think how it started. Um,
Weren't you in a group or something, like a Facebook
yeah.
group?
Oh yeah, we all met up in person. We were on this this group, this Truthers Network, and we all met up in person and went to the market and the protest, and it was swarmed by police. It was crazy. They really, really honed in on us that day. So we all split because the police were coming towards us, and me and Lewis went over to buy some bananas, and I picked up a bunch of bananas. And I was literally doing the transaction with the money and everything, and I got a tap on my shoulder. I was like, "Oh, hi." And he was saying, "So what are you doing?" "Buying some bananas, mate. It's a market, isn't it?" "Okay, well, we've been watching, you've been talking to people." I can't remember the details, what they were saying, but they knew what I was there to do, really. Let's be honest. They're not silly. It was just a fact of they had to prove to me and to them what I was really there for. Was I buying bananas or wasn't I? Who knows? That's for them to find out. I'm not going to say anything. So, yeah, they were asking me questions like, where do you live? What's your address? And I gave it to them, and they asked me for ID, and I said, I don't have any. And then they said, you should. I said, I don't have, it's not a legal requirement for me to carry ID around. So I don't have it. And then he said, where do you live? I told him the truth, and then he looked me up on this iPad, and he went, you already have a red mark on your name, lady. And I was like, what? What for? And I sat there and I went, oh, is that the speeding fine? And he went, yeah. And I went, oh, yeah, I know about that. I know already.
Yeah, I just came back from watching the Star Wars movie. I was speeding. No, sorry.
And then he said, so why are you out of your 5K radius? Did you guys have that, by the way, a 5K radius?
No, I think we weren't supposed to travel between states or something, but I know it was the same thing like you said with the curfew. People were doing it anyway. They just said you weren't supposed to, unless you had, and what was the word? Unless you were vital or whatever. I don't know. I don't even remember.
An essential
yeah,
worker.
Yeah, they're all their word spells. Are you an essential worker? Like, yeah.
Yeah.
So what did he say?
So yeah, he asked me why am I out of my 5Ks, and I just said, come on. I touched his hand and went, come on, mate. Have you seen the price of a bag of carrots around here? $1.50. You can't go wrong, can you? You can't get out of Coles. And he started laughing, but then he kind of like, he was laughing, but then he was like, I'm going to send you a fine out in the mail. Supposed to receive, never received a fine, never got it. So, I don't know, I didn't make that, and I touched his hand. I just thought, you need a bit of human contact here, my friend, I'm just gonna give that to you and show that I'm a human and you're a human, and
That's such a great idea. Yeah, you're right. You established, because these guys, a lot of them are just people. I mean, some are psychopaths, but some of them are just normal people. Most of them are just normal people that realize just it's bullshit too. Yeah, they just want to be loved. Just don't we all? He probably has to go home to his empty apartment and cry his sorrows away. And then he had this nice young lady touch him and was like, hey, mate, with this crazy John Lennon accent, I've
done it before, actually. This is before COVID ever happened. There was there's a festival on here, and there's all like rides there and stalls and all that. It's called Moonba Festival, and me and my son went. And when you come in towards the exit to leave the festival, there's police there doing random spot checks to see if you're carrying a knife. And so, yeah, they just targeted people, and they targeted me. I don't know if that's because I'm from Liverpool or what, but yeah. And they said something about doing a search or a check. And I just, because there was one female officer and the rest were male, and I just sat there and I went, you can do whatever you want as long as he can search me. Yeah.
As long as she can search me? Is that what you said?
No, long as he can search me. I was like, and I looked at one male and I was like, yeah. And they all started laughing and they let me go.
Yeah, because again, you were showing no fear. You were just laughing about it, because if you had some sort of contraband, you might be nervous about it in their mind. And since you weren't, they were just like, whatever, let her go. Even though she's a Liverpudlian.
That's right. You know the terms.
See, I know all the terms.
You do.
I know that because of Ewar, that guy. But yeah, it really goes back again to just not having any fear. And I think, though, on a level, the way this realm works, I really believe that if you have no fear, that you're just gonna be fine. It's kind of like Obi-Wan Kenobi with the droids. These aren't the droids you're looking for. It's kind of like that. It's Jedi mind trick is another way that people try to describe it. But I think it does all come down to having no fear. Robo Honky said, Robo Honky in the chat said, I meant get baked before your DMV photo. So basically what he's saying is, before you go take your picture at the motor vehicle, he's like, get baked. So then you always have that same look on your face. You're just like, just the way I look, mate. What am I going to do? It's my contact lenses. That's a great idea.
It is really smart. I like it. Save for your passport then, isn't it?
Yeah. And your password is like,
Yeah, so they don't search you for drugs at the airport. You're like, oh, I always look like this. What?
I just have never seen Jim Brewer's comedy. Jim Brewer talks about that. He's one of the guys from Half Baked, and he's like, I don't even smoke weed, man. He's like, I just look like this. He's like, this is just my normal look. And he's being right. I mean, he drinks, but yeah, I mean, what are they gonna do? Indict you for the way you were born? I mean, But yeah, dude, I think that's great. And I've told people before about your brave fearlessness and how it's gotten you through all the craziness in Melbourne. And I know that also because of some of the groups you were a part of, some of that fear porn did leak in, because there were some times where you had to hit me up, or you ended up hitting me up asking me about certain things. You remember any of that stuff?
Yeah, loads of times. I actually I asked sorry, I've got a housemate called Brendan, so I'm getting you two confused right now. I actually still message Brandon for advice now, don't I? On anything in life. I'm like, hey, Brandon, what do you think about this? Or I still do it.
What was one of the do you remember one of the more specific instance of they were saying? Because I don't remember if it had to do with lockdowns or what it was, but I remember a couple times you hit me up and you're like, what do you think about this stuff? Like, are they saying this?
Can't remember, to be honest. There's so much that went on. There's probably a ton of things. I remember when they put in a new bill through Parliament for the state. No, not through Parliament. Sorry, that's completely out of term. They put in a new bill through the Premier of the state. So obviously that's different if it's just in one state. It's limited to that state, and it doesn't mean Australia wide, and it can never be like a change through official parliament or anything like that. It's just that state. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that happens here too.
Oh, does it? Okay, yeah. So you know what I mean. And then there was this really scary bill. It was called the pandemic bill or the disaster bill or something like that. And that was when we got the biggest protest Victoria's ever seen through the COVID time. 20,000 people went to the streets to protest against this bill. And it was basically about how they can target you based on your medical status. So we all know what that means. Your religion, your gender, all sorts of crazy things. And they were really scary. And I sat there and I was like, don't think I want to be here anymore. And I think I messaged you and I asked you, and I was like, what do you think about this? Can they do this? Or, and now looking back on it, it was just another fear tactic. I really think that it was just another thing to scare everybody into control and submission. When I look, because I haven't heard about it since. So I'm not sure if that was one of the things I messaged you about.
I remember that. Yeah, I totally remember that. And because I think I was seeing some videos about that. People really seemed like they had enough. So to me, maybe they were just like testing the waters to see what they can kind of get away with.
Yeah.
And I think it did have a lot to do with the fear. But once they saw, 20,000 something people, and that's when they were like going past the barriers and stuff, right? I mean, like people were like rushing checkpoints and stuff.
Yeah, go past police horses and things. Well, actually, I think what really changed because they had to edit things. If they couldn't do the original bill, they had to edit things to get it passed through. And they had to take things out because it was terrible. But I think they had party on the steps at Parliament every night until like 3 a.m. People just DJ decks, full DJ decks on the steps of Parliament all night. And people having parties on the steps. There was food. There was not alcohol. People weren't even drinking. They were just, coming together and having a party. So instead of protesting, they said, well, we're going to change the approach. We're just going to have a party on the steps of Parliament every night. We're going to piss them off. We're going to be super loud. And I think that, they ended up getting fed up with it. They ended up like cleaning the steps in the morning when people were camping there. Like the council came and sprayed all the steps and it soaked everybody's bedding, camping equipment and all that. And it did get to them for them to take to those extremes. It did annoy them. It did get to them. So I guess you could say that would be a positive approach. Instead of protesting and being fearful and angry about it, have a party about it. Have a party
Yeah.
over it.
And I like how they weren't drinking. That's great because a lot of people in this country, I mean, like you see those Canadian protests, the trucker protests that they had, it was like people were just getting hammered, and it was like, you know, it didn't seem like the same thing that you're describing here. So, your son is in the chat. Actually, he just said hello.
Hi, Lewis. Hello, love.
Yeah, awesome. What a legend.
I know.
Lewis, the legend. So did
so
they end
brave.
up? Yeah, I love it. That's what we need more of, honestly. If people stood up, this would have never happened. I mean, even if it was like 10% of the people, or you know. So did they end up? You said they changed some of the stuff. Did anything end up getting passed because of that, or what happened?
It did, but they had to edit it and take things out and make it less extreme than what it was. And in the end, I didn't even pay attention to what was removed because I just felt that it wasn't going to affect me in a weird way. I just didn't think it was going to affect me or really anybody, to be honest.
Yeah, and it didn't. It goes back to what we were saying earlier about people go ahead and getting that mandate experimental medical serum because they thought they were going to do this or they thought they were going to do that, and then it ended up nothing happened. In fact, here, a hospital in Chicago that fired people because they wouldn't accept their religious exemption to that mandate. So they fired a bunch of people and they got sued. They did a class action lawsuit and they got sued for like 10.5 million and they won, or the people won.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. I think they've had a class action here and applications to the High Court, but I haven't heard anything from that. There's been a few people who've personally sued the company for sacking them for not being mandated. However, I think there's a dark side to that, if I'm honest. I feel that that's kind of going in their favor, not in the client's favor, if that makes sense. So if you're suing loads of companies, they're just going to go bust. And isn't that the whole thing? Like they want people to go bust so they're not privately owning things and stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think there's definitely an element of that for sure. That's why a lot of people I know, well, a few people I know aren't really suing because of that. They're just letting it be. Somebody I know recently just applied for a job and the interview went really well. And then they asked him about that whole mandate thing. And they were like, no, not me. No, sir. You know? And I guess they told them that they couldn't hire him because of that. And then they even sent him an email, like a paper trail. They sent an email saying, oh, you know, you're a lovely candidate and all this stuff. We'd love to hire you, but since you didn't do the mandate thing, we can't. And it was like, what? Like, you just set yourself up for so much liability. My friend was just like, you know what, whatever. It's just not meant to be.
Yeah.
Just let it go, which I really admire, because it's kind of like a battery with the positive and the negative. You know, you're either one side or the other, but they're still extracting your energy. And when you just kind of let it go, there's no
That's
energy.
true as well, isn't it? It takes a lot of energy to go down that suing route or the courts and things. And I just want to sit and paint some flowers or something, or, you know, play with the cats. I don't want to be doing all that stuff.
Yeah, exactly. And at the ending, in the end, the system is still benefiting because the lawyer is going to get like a third or whatever you sue. So you're still supporting that illegal court system that's going on. You know what I mean? It's crazy. Well, and again, I'm not saying I don't judge people who do it. Good for you, you know. But well,
if I had enough money, I would probably, you know, go down that route. A lot of times, I mean, I remember when I got my car clamped by the council, and there was so many dodgy things about it. Like, it was legit the council, but there was no contract, there was no itemized receipt, there was no this and that. And I thought I could so take this to court and get my $500 back. But then you need a lot of money, a lot of time. So I would do it sometimes. But
do they tow it?
Yeah.
For what? Why did they do that? Like, what was the situation? What happened?
I was on a clearway for like 5 minutes. I got lost and couldn't find the car in time. And then they were like, right, that's your 5 minutes. Okay, we're going to take your car. So I sat in the car. When I got there, I ran into the thing. I saw my car, unlocked it, just got in the car. And I was like, I'm going to just drive it out. And they all saw me. 3 of them came running to the car. No, what are you doing? I was like, charging my battery in my car. Okay. And then you're like, oh, well, you're not allowed to drive it. And I went, right, says who? So they blocked me in with like a little forklift, like those manual forklift truck thingies you can get for trolleys. They blocked me in with one of those, started lifting the car up. One guy here, one guy there. So I can't, because I will just be here for days, and yeah, I will not be able to eat. I won't be able to go to the toilet. So I have to get out and pay him.
Wow.
But and it wasn't my car either. It was a hire car. So if it was my car, I probably would have, pooped at the side of it and got people to throw food over the fence and all that. So in some instances, yeah, would. And I think if you've got the money, go for it. If you've got the time and money, go for it. But that's another problem, isn't it? It's the time and money that you need to, I think.
Yeah, and your time is really, you can't really put a price on it. Like you said, you'd rather be painting flowers and playing with your kitties, like you don't want to be engaged in this legal battle, where they win either way. It doesn't really matter.
Oh, really? What do you mean by that?
Well, just your participation in it. But I guess if you're fighting, that's different, because you'd be fighting the state straight on, But in another way, they don't really care if some business gets sued or whatever,
That's right. Yeah, I agree with that.
But if it is the establishment, like a hospital, something like that, I think that's different, That's like that. Those people that stood up for that, I think that was amazing,
Yeah.
Especially because they just canned all these people. They just fired all these people that were already working. And think about all the stuff they had to go through, especially in Chicago. I mean, it's possible someone could have lost their houses, or who knows, So sometimes,
I think it's good that people are doing it. It's just personally, I just can't be bothered. I'm just being honest about that.
I hear
but
you.
yeah, I really admire people who do like the hospital workers and all things like that. Or anybody. I admire that. I do. And some people do need to do it. But like I was saying, it does have a double-edged sword in a way where, like, taking it to the court maybe is a different thing to actually suing as well. You know what I mean? Because when you do the suing action, you are making that company, like, if say it's a small company, that might make them go bust or something, and
Yeah, totally. And then, like you were saying, then, because I feel like that's a lot about what those protests were about in 2020 in the United States, all those BLM protests and stuff. It's kind of like they wanted to defund the police and get rid of the police. Well, then what's going to happen? You're going to get some kind of federal like force in there or whatever, the National Guard or whatever, A lot of people don't think about the next step. They just kind of want to, they just want to, like, because they're, we're like, oh, we're getting hurt. No, I don't know. I mean, I understand there's a lot of bullshit that happens in the cities and stuff, but when you think about it and you take it to its logical end, most people don't do that. They're just like worried about the instant gratification of it,
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. They're going to replace it with something. So you need to think about what that could be. A lot of these things are set up to give them that reason or that excuse to replace it with something else,
So Bane Bear in the chat said to turn your phone to 90 degrees. He said, Kay, turn your phone to 90 degrees. And then he said, and marry me. So you got a marriage proposal also.
Wait, does that give me a visa? I say yes. I'm kidding.
You want to try that? Turn your phone on its side and see if it works. If the picture looks better. There you go. Oh yeah, that's much better. Great idea, Bane
Look, I'm in your room, love. I'm in my son's room.
Oh, you're in Lewis's room. Great. Hurry up and get back before she touches all your stuff. No.
Is that better?
Yeah, there you go.
I kind of feel like I've got a double chin at the moment, you know, when you're like,
Can you put it? You have something to put it on?
That's a good question. And let me see. So I don't look like I have a double chin.
I mean, you already have. You can't take the marriage proposal back now, so don't worry about that.
How's
Sharon
that
just
now?
said, "Oh, she said yes." Oh, that's hilarious.
Yeah, no, that's a first, isn't it?
Oh man,
is it the Thomas the Tank Engine accent that does it for you?
Yeah, I think
one
so.
of the Beatles did the voiceover for Thomas the Tank Engine in I think it was in the 90s. Have you ever seen that in the States? Have you ever?
I don't know. Probably. That sounds kind of familiar, actually.
So it was like, yeah. So you know Thomas the Tank Engine, the Choo Choo Train, that kids program.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, so it was like one of the Beatles. I think it was Ringo.
Well, we know it wasn't John Lennon. Sorry. Oh man.
If I got that wrong, if I've got his name wrong, but anyway, so it was like, and Thomas the Tank Engine shunted all of his trucks, and he decided he was done for the day. Thomas was tired.
Thomas was tired.
Yeah, that's what it's like. Watch an episode of Thomas the Tank Engine with Ringo's.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Imagine if I'm wrong about that. I'm gonna have to like Google that I've got the right.
We don't want to be spreading disinformation here on the Brandon Bonanza show. That's so funny. Also,
yeah, it was Ringo did it. I was correct. Sorry, go on.
Oh, there you go. Thomas the Tank Engine. I think I could do it. I don't know.
Oh my god, Brandon.
I'll give a quick shout out to More Laws, More Problems. You can go there and you could click on the Kayleigh tab and you could see more videos that we've done. If you want to see more of Kayleigh, go there.
Yay!
She has her own little tab. And so what's life like now? You said it's pretty much back to normal there in Melbourne.
Yeah, it is. It is, but I mean, obviously, you still got the rumors, the fear porn that go around. It's okay for now, but this is going to happen next. So, you know, you've probably got the same thing, haven't you?
Yeah, I don't really listen to it much, but people do talk about that stuff like camps and food shortages. Food shortages is a big one that people keep talking about.
Yeah.
And then like power outages.
That one too, yeah.
I've also heard that the internet might go out.
I've heard that one, yeah. And I'm not saying that that's not going to happen, but it could happen. It could happen for an hour of your life out of the day, and then everything's back to normal. We're you know, all sitting there thinking, oh, we're going to be days without all of this stuff, and you know what I mean? You don't know how extreme it's going to be. People are just thinking it's going to be the worst.
I think that even if those things do happen, I think the key to get through it would be no fear, because we've already talked about how we've gotten through other situations with no fear. And I think that as long as you have no fear, I don't think the whatever creator of this realm would just allow you to like dwindle away and die, because, you know,
I absolutely agree with that. I really do. I think the energy that you give off attracts as well, like a respect from the universe sort of thing. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, exactly. So
I agree.
Yeah, if you stay in no fear, because if you think about it, these are all modern conveniences anyway, you know, electricity and the internet and stuff like that. And obviously in the winter, you're going to need stuff like that. But again, I still feel like if that happens, it doesn't have to affect you as long as you don't have any fear. Because, you know, you even get people like Wim Hof and all these people who can like climb Mount Everest in a t-shirt and swim in like freezing cold water and all this stuff. So, and the other thing is too, I feel like it is, if it's a man-made crisis, that they can't really, people that are doing these controls, they can't really do this to you if it's not a choice, because everything I've seen up till now, it seems like it's a choice. Everything like,
yes.
they say like Trump shut down the country, but he didn't. All he did was speak into a microphone and people just obeyed. And not everybody obeyed it. People like you were driving around. Well, it was different. It wasn't Trump, but you know what I mean? Like they said there was a curfew and you still went out there. You know, they said that I was supposed to cover my smiling face, but I still went and did everything without doing it. And I'm still here. You know, and I just had a couple of interesting interactions with people. That was about it. It wasn't like my life was threatened or anything like that. You know, nobody locked me up or threw me in a camp, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, I know none of that ever happened to anybody who I know. Or yeah, so I think it's probably taught us a lesson, really, that, like you said, the no fear thing. The universe will look after you if you just stay in truth, and don't be scared. And anything that happens in the future, you're just going to see there's a lesson in it. There's also probably a positive that comes out of it in a weird way. We would mean you be talking right now if it wasn't for the lockdowns and COVID. I don't think we would really, would we?
Yeah, I don't think we would have even met.
No. Which means you still got to come to Australia, haven't you?
Yeah, I really do. That'd be awesome.
I can't go to yours yet, otherwise I would.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny because all this stuff is kind of starting to come out into the open, and they've already, like, the CDC announced that the status is the same now. If you took the mandate thing or you didn't, your status is the same. And they've even come out and said that natural immunity is better.
We've heard that over here too, and then it's like, well, why do I still need to be mandated to get into the States then if I'm treated the same as a mandated person or not mandated? Do you know what I mean? Like, if you're mandated or not mandated and you're just the same, why do I still have to be mandated then to come and see you, for example?
Exactly.
I don't get that.
I think it just hasn't caught up yet, honestly. Once this stuff starts slowly leaking out and more people are kind of like what's the word, more like awake to this stuff, I think that's when it's going to change. And honestly, I think the reason that they're doing all this now and getting this disclosure out of the way is for liability reasons, because I feel like a shift is going to come. A lot of people have been talking about like a script flip or a swing in the other direction. And here that would be like right wing, left wing, so it's like very left wing. Everything's politically correct now and all this stuff. And I really do. A couple other people that I follow are talking about this stuff, and they've arrived at this conclusion. They don't even know each other, like totally separate. One of them is like Owen Benjamin's been talking about it a lot, comedian. Another one is Jason from Archaics, and they have different ways of coming across this point of view. And it kind of just leads me to believe that that's what's going to happen. And even if you look back in history, like Germany pre-World War II, there was a lot of this kind of stuff going on with like swinging and stuff swings one way. And then, so I feel like the way everything's going right now with all the agendas that they're pushing, like I don't watch any TV or anything right now, but I guess if you watch even like a show on Netflix, like everybody has to be, like there's like no white straight people. It's like all people of color or like, whatever that means, or like gay people or like trans people and all this stuff. And I think it's going to get to a point where people are just going to get sick of it and they're just going to kind of like throw it off. And I'm not saying that's even a good thing, because I feel like the people who run government and stuff, they kind of know this stuff. So they have contingency plans for either one. So they're going to create a hero on either side. So they might have a new hero that pops up, and then that's going to be their guy and everyone's going to go follow them. And that really just goes back to stuff we've always talked about, which is like, why do you need a leader? Like, why do you need a hero? Shouldn't you be your own hero? A lot of people in society are stuck in this mode where they need a hero. They need somebody else to go out and do these things for them because they don't want to take the time to heal themselves, really.
Yeah, 100%. But sometimes I feel like we're living in a Mandela effect too. Like, you said that if it swaps and changes, I'm sorry, I'm thinking, are we living in a different timeline at the moment? Because everything's just completely changed from what it was or what I thought it was going to be, and it's bizarre. So, like, I think it does flip and change, like you said.
Yeah.
For what that reason is, I don't know, but
And it's
Seems
funny
to
because a
be.
lot of people will say it's like a simulation or it's like a computer thing that we live in or whatever. And I think one of the reasons why it seems to manifest that way is because we perceive everything with our brain, right? And our brain works like a computer. So if we're connected to other people on this way that we don't understand, and you have this collective consciousness, well, what else is a collective consciousness other than like the internet, a bunch of computers? So the way things that we're going to perceive and then the way they flip and change in society is going to act just like a computer program would act, even though it's our brains are way more sophisticated, I guess you could say, than just a regular computer. But I think that's why, because we don't realize that we're in it. We think we're back and we're observing things that are going on. We don't realize that we're part of it. And our observation is tainted by that because we observe it from our brain and our senses. And if it does work like a computer, then it's going to manifest like a computer. I mean, technically everybody's behavior is going to manifest just like a computer, or like a simulation, because that's the only way that we act in this world is through our senses and everything like that. So I think that's a lot of the reason why that happens. And it kind of goes back to that. You've heard of the 100 monkeys experiment where
Yes. Like, yeah, that I always say that that's what's happening with human consciousness, the collective consciousness.
exactly.
Sorry, please continue with the
No, that's great.
description
And
of it.
I think what's going to happen is enough people are going to get to a point where they're either sick of it or they see it or whatever, and then it's going to flip and it's going to go the other way, and it'll seem like it's some kind of Mandela effect or whatever. But I think that it's just the way that, like I said, we perceive everything that happens. And I know it's kind of hard to explain, and I leave a lot of it up to mystery because there really is no way to prove it, because it's like being in an experiment and then trying to give data on that experiment. It's like, but you're part of that experiment. You know what I mean? You're not a casual observer. You're part of that collective. Because even though we don't, people like us, we don't relate to the collective, you know, we call them sheep and all that stuff. We're still jacked into that system or that collective consciousness. And I think that people like us are just ahead of the curve. So we see this. So eventually the median, the middle of the people are going to see it, right? And then it's going to move that way. So I think that we're just out front, and then we're like the head of the alligator getting mad at like the belly because the belly's back there. That's what we're doing right now, you know?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Which I get it. It's very frustrating, and it really is. But I think if you come at it that way, you can have more compassion, right? Because then you could realize, all right, I'm the head, you know, and that's the tail. And eventually the tail is going to go where I am, but the tail can't be where I am, or else we'll just be eating ourselves, right? We'll be like the Ouroboros or whatever, the snake that's eating itself. So, yeah, that's the way I've been trying to come at it lately, because I really feel, you know, I was on to the whole 7-Eleven was a part-time job thing, you know, like that, the Two Towers thing that happened here, that's coming up soon, the anniversary. I was onto that pretty early. And then I noticed years later, more people were starting to wake up to it and be receptive to it. And then I was on to other things a little early, and then more people were waking up. And I feel like that's how it happens. And then once it becomes mainstream, then kind of everybody accepts it. But I guess there will be part of the consciousness or whatever that never accepts it. But I think deep down they know, they just don't admit it, you know, and that's where I think those people have the most problems in society, because they aren't able to fully recognize reality. They're not in touch with reality. So that's why you get so many people drinking and engaging in escapism and all this stuff, because they're just trying to distract themselves from the truth. And I think as that happens, there might be like a separation or whatever. Maybe it already started happening, but I feel like most people are going to go in this direction. And I think this is like a real turning point. So that's why I'm kind of excited about it, because I think that there's really nothing to fear. I mean, these people who aren't accepting them, think about it. Most of the people that got the mandate, a lot of them have already passed away. They're already done. And if you believe in like anything kind of reincarnation or recycling of souls, those people are now going to be born into, let's face it, mostly the only people having children right now, a large percentage of them are kind of awoke to this stuff, and they're not in despair, because a lot of people are that are in despair. They're not having kids. I'm seeing it. Like I DJ weddings, well, just so people know. And I see a lot of people getting married all the time. And I could see the ones that really aren't in a lot of fear. They're the ones that are having the children. And then if you look at the bear community, like people like Owen Benjamin or any of these people who aren't in despair, a lot of them are having kids. So if these souls are recycling back into at a massive rate, you know, that guy Jason from Archaic said that this profound thing that blew my mind. He said, anytime there's a mass die off, you have like a baby boom afterwards. Like just think about World War II, all these people that died, and then there was the baby boomers, you know, all these people had kids. So if those souls reincarnate back into a better place, they might have a chance now to not live in fear and be raised correctly without trauma, without the trauma that a lot of us are raised with, or even the baby boomer generation was raised with. Oh, look, it's my cat's paw. So I think that I think that it really is going to go into another direction. Because if you think about it, energy, you can't destroy energy. It has to go somewhere. And if our souls are energy, you got to go somewhere. And a lot of these people who were believing all the lies, they had a horrible life. I mean, nobody was excited. They thought it was like a real pandemic and people were going to die. Like they were just living through fear. So they were just in this fear state. And then they ate all this food, and, you know, maybe it wasn't just, you could see her eye now. Maybe it just wasn't directly the medical serum that killed them. Maybe it's a whole like group of things that's just part of it. But they're living in this huge mode of fear. So then they die, and now they get to live in a situation where it's not going to be so fearful. Not, you know, they're like I said.
And also maybe they hold some memory subconsciously of what happened in their previous life, so that they carry a different energy in the next life. So it kind of pushes the energy into a different direction for the next generation, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
You know, like, I'm not going to make that mistake again.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, because at least subconsciously they got to know that you know that it played a part in their short exiting of this realm as soon as they took that experimental medical serum. I mean, it's crazy too. A lot of people allegedly are passing away, and I even know, just in my parents' friends, my parents they weren't about the mandate, thank God. You know, they saw, like my family, they all saw through it, my brothers and stuff. But a lot of people that we know, they either went out that way, or some people I know even committed suicide, or just like somebody I know got killed on a motorcycle. You know, it's just these things that or you have to do with like escapism or whatever, or despair, and they just kind of checked out of this realm.
Yeah.
So knowing that, and again, I think after you recycle, there's like this veil of forgetfulness, so you don't remember anything, but I think there is something etched in your soul. There's some kind of trajectory that you're going to be pushed in now because of it. You know, it's like a ping pong ball. It's going to go bing, bing. The other way. So
100%. I think the same way. Yeah.
Plus,
even I think, with our lives right now, that's what's going on.
Yeah. And I think that the next realm that we go to, I think there's a realm between this one, and I feel like if you enter that realm,
I can't wait for that realm.
Yeah, I think that's why babies cry. They're like, no, not again. Like, put me back. I think that if you enter that realm with no fear, I think it's a total different experience that you have. So if you die, because even in the Bhagavad Gita, they talk about the way that you die. I think it's the Bhagavad Gita. It's something to do with Hinduism or whatever. And you want to exit like through your head. But most of it, basically, if you boil it down, it's really about being conscious when you die and having no fear. Because I think you might not go to another place. Maybe it's all the same realm, but I think you're just going to have a much different experience when you cross over. And then it's going to enable you to even have a better life when you come back to this place. And I think it could even be that other realm could be timeless. So it's possible souls can almost immediately reincarnate, but they've been in this other realm. It could seem like years, you know. I think that's where the idea of heaven and hell comes from also.
Yeah, the limbo sort of area.
Yeah,
I agree. Completely agree with all that you just said. And I sit there and think about that quite a lot. And I feel like, I've never had past life regression or anything like that. I'd love to do it, but we could have had something happen in our past life, and that's why we are the way we are right now and doing the things that we do right now. Maybe.
Yeah. And I feel like we're here to learn compassion, really, because if we can learn compassion for all the people who are going along with this stuff and just realize that they are, at the end of the day, they're us. They're just, like I said, we're the head and they're just the belly or the tail. They just have to learn more lessons to get maybe to where we are. And it's not something that I say because I think I'm better than somebody or I'm like bragging, or I don't think we people like us should be like look down on other people. It's just like when you're in 8th grade and there's like a 5th grader, that he's just a little behind you. It's the same kind of thing. Uh-oh, did we lose her? Oh no, we lost our Kayleigh. Whatever will we do? It's a good thing I'm hilarious. We'll see if she can get back connected in, and if not, we could just end this episode because it's been going on for over an hour now, probably about an hour and 15 minutes, something like that. But thank you guys so much for joining us on our live stream test. I wanted to test this out to make sure it worked because I know Sharon was probably a little worried because of how I'm always like, yeah, we'll figure it out. Don't worry. We'll be able to go live on 9/11. It'll be fine. She's probably like, are you sure, Brandon? But she don't want to bust my balls too much because I love her because she's a great person. But yeah, we can go live. So look at them apples. If you would like to support us, you can go to morelawsmoreproblems.com. We have several ways to support us, and you could donate. But the best way to support us, I always say, is if you just watch our show, leave comments, let us know what you think about it, and check us out on the Over Sharon show. I do that with my lovely friend Sharon. I'm sure most of you guys are aware of that, every Thursday night, which is, what's today, Tuesday. So in 2 nights, we're going to be premiering a new episode, which is going to be me and Sharon, no guests, but we have a few episodes already recorded with guests, and there's some really great mind-blowing episodes, and we already have plans to get on even more guests. Let me see if Kayleigh's maybe messaging me, maybe her phone died or something. So I'm super excited about that, and we have plans to even get on more guests. We're going to just start shooting for the stars. That's what we're going to do. We're just going to start asking everybody. We're going to try to get Trunk on. Oh, here's Kayleigh. We're not going to try to get Trunk. I'm just kidding. Let's let Kayleigh back in. Maybe her phone went dead or something. But yeah, really exciting stuff going on at the Over Sharon show. And now that I know I can do this, I plan on getting some more people myself just on the Brandon Bonanza show for a nice fun little talk at random intervals. So make sure that you hit that bell, you subscribe, and you hit the bell, because we might just go randomly live at any time, just like we did tonight on a random Tuesday. Are you there?
Yeah, so my phone battery went and it went off. I love how there's a ginger cat for my picture right now on Zoom. Can you see that? It looks like
that
Alfie.
is hilarious, dude. A ginger cat.
Yeah, so I'll have to wrap it up now just because of the phone charging situation.
Yeah, that's fine.
I was gonna say, me, you, and Sharon should do a show together one day. That would be really fun.
Oh yeah, I'm sure she'd totally be into that for sure.
Lovely. All right.
Yeah, she's been leaving some great comments in here in the live chat. Yeah, I was just giving some websites and stuff like that. And like I was saying earlier, if you want to see more of Kayleigh, go to morelawsmoreproblems.com. Click on that Kayleigh tab, and there's ways to either, I think you can contact her through there, or you can also watch all the videos that we did. Like I said, we did a couple videos about the Denver airport. We talked about our military service, or maybe only one Denver airport video. I can't remember. But we also talked about toxic chemicals. That Denver airport one was cool. We broke down all the symbolism, and it wasn't like as evil as you think, everybody. So go check that video out. We had some different conclusions than most of the fear porn videos that you'll see about it. Gee, I wonder why.
Yeah, we were going to redo that, weren't we? Because my phone was lagging in the video. We were going to redo that at some point.
Yeah.
Just didn't know, because we just get distracted by new things. We're like, yay, let's do this one instead. Let's talk about that one instead.
Exactly. Maybe
all
we
right,
should...
I'm going to leave you to it.
All right.
Do you want to stay on for a bit, or?
No, I think I'll wrap it up right here. I think that's, maybe I will stay on for a little bit. Let's see what happens.
Yeah.
But
All
thank you
right.
so much, Kayleigh. And we got to do this again soon whenever we can make our schedules work. Remember, guys, she's all the way on the other side of the realm. It's a 14-hour difference.
And it gets challenging
it's
for us
crazy.
to organize something. Yes, I will organize something with Sharon, and I'll come back on, even if it's just me, and enjoy your evening, if that's what it is in the States right now. Yeah.
That's what it is. All right. I'll talk to you
Okay.
later.
See you, everyone. Bye.
All right. Good day. All right. Well, that was our episode about fear. And as you could see, all the instances in our life when something happened, when we simply just chose not to give into the fear, everything seemed to work out even for the better, even though no matter how crazy or insane it seemed out there. Let me just remove her from the, remove. No, I don't want to report her. I don't want to report Kayleigh to Zoom, but just remove her. There we go. No matter how crazy things got in this crazy realm that we live in, basically just living without fear got us through. So I think that's the one lesson, the takeaway that we could take away from all this stuff, all this crazy stuff that's happened, is that you can't choose the events that are going to happen to you, right? It's just like Gandalf said to Frodo when Frodo said, "I wish I wasn't alive to see such times." And Gandalf said, "So do all who've been alive to see such times, but it's not up to them to choose the time that they live, only for them to choose what they do with that time." And with that beautiful misquote or quote from Lord of the Rings, I will let all of you guys go and get back to your lives. But thank you again so much for checking out the Brandon Bonanza show. Check us out on the Oversharing show every Thursday night. And I don't know how I end this.